Let me tell you how I got into, the question was, how did I get into poetry?
Yeah.
High school. Loved poetry, and I started writing it. I actually got one poem accepted, finally my senior year for the school's literary publication. Then when I was, but I've dabbled in poetry, art, music, all kinds of things, but I also love math, computer science. In fact, my undergraduate degree was chemistry, but I started programming when I was in high school, and my senior project for chemistry was computer programming. My master's in chemistry was based on computer programming, at which point I said, "No, forget it. You're not a chemist. You're a computer science. You're a programmer." But because I love the arts and language, etc., I gravitated towards that part of computer science that dealt with the arts. Computer graphics, animation, sound production, etc. Anything having to do with the arts and technology, that's what I got involved with. And one of the things that I've really liked over the last, I guess, close to 10 years now, is a lot of publications you submit online. You don't have to submit your poetry or your other writing via snail mail, posting it and waiting and waiting. There are a couple of services out there. One is called Submittable, and you can actually go onto their website, and the various publications, they post their calls for submissions on the website, and they'll tell you whether there's a fee or not. I don't go for the fee ones, I go for the non-fee ones. But I'm constantly submitting it. I found that if you constantly submit and submit and submit, as well as you continue to write, it works. I also have a group of fellow poets in the area. We meet every Friday morning when we can, pretty much every Friday morning, have breakfast together, talk about politics, and then we pull out our poems and rip them to shreds. No, we really work at it with each other. We've been doing it for almost 15 years now, I think. Yes?
Question: when you say you rip it to threads, you rip politics to threads?
No, we rip the poems to shreds. We go after the poems like, why did you use that word? Do you really think that's the right word? And maybe, oh, this section here is just not working. We really get down. Mostly what we do for each other is, everybody in writing poetry, you have your little pet things you always do in poems. And it's nice to have my friends, and they're friends. We really like each other. We actually all used to teach together at Marist, believe it or not. It's nice because they bring you up on it and say, "You're doing that again. You realize you're doing that again." And you're like, you're right. And I think because of them, I have gotten a lot better. But I continually write poems. And before COVID hit, I was doing really nice. I mean, my method, I was getting up to like 20 poems accepted. And I'm talking a lot of small journals all over the place, but it was nice. Then COVID hit and the number just went right down. I think the year COVID hit, maybe I got 3 or 4 poems accepted, maybe. The last year or so, I'm back up to around 8 or so, or 9 a year, which is not bad. But I'd love to get back to 20. That was so nice. But one of the things I've been doing a lot about in poetry is working on sonnets. I mean, I write all different styles of free verse poetry, but in the sense of formal styles, formats, I've been doing a lot of sonnets, and specifically sonnets, what they call Shakespearean sonnets. There's different types of sonnets. All the sonnets are what they call iambic pentameter. And for those out there who want to know, it's a college professor, I'm always teaching. An iambic pentameter means that each line has 5 iambs. Now, an iamb is a pair of syllables where the first syllable is a weak syllable and the second syllable is stressed. And you get 5 per line. So to do it with some emphasis, it's like bum 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 bum. That's each line. And a sonnet has 14 lines. And you have end rhyme, which means the ends of certain lines rhyme with each other. The pattern of the end rhymes is what differentiates between Shakespearean sonnet and something called the Petrarchian sonnet, and I think there's one more too which escapes me right now. But I like the Shakespearean sonnet because it's the one that's the easiest. The Petrarchian, you get like, it's like, if I, like rhyming words, let's say the first line rhymes with the sound, with an A sound. The second line is a B sound. Well, Petrarchian is A, B, A, B, A, B. It's like you have to keep doing it. And it's hard. Shakespeare is A, B, A, B, C, D, C, D, E, F, E, F. G. In other words, you can keep changing it, and it's a lot easier. You don't have to keep searching for the rhymes as much. But I've had a lot of them accepted. I'm going to read a lot of them tonight. I would say probably somewhere between 20 to 30 of my sonnets have been accepted. And this has been a long project for me. I forget how many years I've been doing this. I probably have easily 110 or more sonnets already written. I'm not saying they are all wonderful. I never want to say that. And one of these days, my hope is to actually sort through them, maybe group them by theme, and try to find a publisher. Try. Emphasis on the word try. Anyway, let's try some sonnets. And a lot of my sonnets, I include a quote. So this is Sonnet on Meditation. And the quote is, "Soon science will have passed into legend. Man has turned his back on silence." Jean Arp. And what's the matter with just being? Who said one can't simply be? Is there a rule that's somewhere written stating that is true? And what if I should choose to sit where cool and gentle breezes dwell? Should I retreat to warmer climates just to satisfy some arbitrary law, to suffer heat and cloying air, a stark and cloudless sky? I do not need to always be engaged in motion, moving to and fro. I find that sitting still brings joys no fool or sage could ever hope to know. A peace of mind that takes me to a truer place, to contemplate the inner miracle of one. And because, as I said, the group of us are always going to the diner, over the years I have written various poems relating to the diner where we go. So this is Sonnet at the Diner. Today I'm simply waiting, held in place, just watching, not observing, not aware a quartet sits across from me, each face a varnished instrument, their graying hair the strings they play with practiced ease. I hear each voice weave in and out, without a break between the beats of dishes. Waitress near with pots of rosin, dark and bitter, takes her cue and refills each cup, again, again. Her theme a brief motif that adds a counterpoint to news repeated. Then the players reach the section where the sad and joyful yield. They leave a modest sum to pay the bill, their morning session done. Which one now? I'll take this one. Okay, this is called Sonnet for a Lesson Learned, and this one has the quote, "The difference between friendship and love is how much you can hurt each other." Ashley Brilliant. While peeling back an orange skin, I know no more or less than when the flesh was whole. When squeezed, the peel coats fingers with a snow of fragrant oil, reminding me my goal still waits. I pull the inner flesh apart and place a sugared slice into my mouth to suck on juices, sweet yet slightly tart, as when you kissed me, sitting on the couch, before you whispered there was someone else. The orange liqueur burns my tongue, the way your words had seared my soul and left red welts that time might heal but never go away. For once you've tasted pain, it's hard to know which fruit to eat and which to answer no. Take this one. Oh, by the way, I do have some other style poems, not just sonnets. I'll go to those soon. This is Sonnet for the Isolation. You know when this was written, right? COVID. It said, and the quote is, "Home is a shelter from storms. all sorts of storms. William J. Bennett. Go back inside. Go back inside. Don't stand around on corners swapping stories. Stop embracing friends. No heartfelt hugs. Don't slam your palms against each other's, spreading droplets, bits of virus, faster, bringing plague to those whose bodies are too weak to fend off illness. Just because your cough is vague and fading does not mean that in the end someone you touch or come too close to can't contract this scourge that knows no nations, flies across our borders, seeks out hosts to grant it entry. Watch it quickly colonize. But isolation's not too much to give, if doing so will mean that more might live. One of the, I guess they like my writing. One of the publications that I've been getting, actually, I don't have the newest one. It's North Dakota Quarterly. It's a university publication. I got two here, and I should be getting a third. 3 times in a row, they've accepted my poems for the publication. They must like what I write. Or else they're all fools. I don't know. Okay, this is Sonnet on Being Truly Lucky. And the quote is, a person...
Sorry, it's motion,
I know.
and there's no censor, and maybe it's off.
Okay. You did very well. She can edit that out.
Yeah, I can edit that.
The school I just last taught for, 3 years before I left, they moved us into a brand new suite of offices. They basically took the basement floor of this one building, redid it, and I'm in computer science. They give us brand new rooms, brand new offices, except the lights. They were not motion. They were on timers, but they were not sensitive to motion. So when they went out, you had to kind of feel your way to the switch and then do it again. You can cut that out. Okay. Sonnet on Being Truly Lucky. A person does not seek luck. Luck seeks the person. Turkish proverb. It must have been when I fell down the stairs, the concrete steps that went from yard to basement. No one knew I fell, all unaware that Billy wasn't there. His boyish face now missing from the crew that painted in the yard, a rowboat up on horses, talked as if we all were there where one had been. And now I lay unconscious, face like chalk, but still alive, and breathing, slowly, not a single bone undone. A miracle, as if a spirit saw me fall and got me safely to the bottom, slowed the fall, and let me drift to where I rested. Luck? I guess. I've kept it like a first earned buck. By the way, that's actually true. Where
did that happen?
In down New York City. I grew up in Queens and Brooklyn, and they had opened up the basement doors in the backyard because they were getting tools out of the basement, and they had a rowboat up on horses in the backyard, and they were painting it, and I'm looking at it, and I'm going like this, and right down, I didn't even notice where I was going. Next thing I know, I'm waking up at the bottom. No broken bones, no concussion.
How far did you fall?
An entire flight of stairs, one whole floor, and there were concrete steps, and I was totally, nothing broken, no concussion, nothing.
Somebody looked after you.
Oh, somebody was looking after me, I knew. Okay, I'm gonna try something a little different. Okay. This is See the Clock Slow Down. Notice the dog, lung full of air, ready to bark, to chase cars along the street. Walkers pose mid-dash. Winds have died down, have ceased their advance of clouds across the sky. Birds in mid-flight, leaves in mid-flutter. Air is perfectly still. Listen to nothing. No engines churning, moving wares to market. No babies crying for mothers to raise them up to their breasts. No friends to say hi and shake your expectant hand. Everything is in order, but the order is fixed, like the look of Mona. Not quite a smile, but less than a frown. always in transition. A point on the line of time, it has no length to speak of, yet exists all the same, binding all your days gone by to days yet to come. And back to sonnets. Yep. Okay. This is Sonnet Full of Apathy. And the quote is, "Everyone talks about apathy, but no one does anything about it." Anonymous. Less than a feeling, I've no drive to do the things I ought to do. A list that grows with time. A list I whittle back so slow, it seems I've barely made a nick that shows. It's more I put aside the list, ignored the list, divorced it from my waking mind, and left myself an empty shell, not bored or wanting for amusement, simply blind to all the myriad possibilities that I no longer see by choice. A choice I made quite consciously, made not to please some inner child, some rabid inner voice, but made because it's what I wish to be, a cipher, hollow, less than mystery. I like sonnets because they're really tight, and you've got it, and if you get used to doing the rhyme pattern, that actually gets very easy. But making sure you stick with them, you can get what you want to say in 14 lines. That's all you got. And whatever you want to say, you got to get it done by line 14. And that's the hard part. It's not the rhyming. It's not the meter. That's after you've done your 5th or 6th or 10th sonnet. That's easy. It's getting what you want to say and saying it well within the 14 lines. Sonnet for the wind. Quote, "The pessimist complains about the wind. The optimist expects it to change. The realist adjusts the sails." William Arthur Ward. "I see the wind before I hear it, sense its force against my flesh. I watch as limbs begin to tremble, shake and sway and bend before the power of the air, whose whims, majestic in their fury, rage within the sea we breathe. The forecast warns of gusts like massive waves you cannot see, so thin, transparent, barely blue, yet one which we must be wary of, or else we too will find ourselves caught up in currents, swept away to distant shores, with objects of a kind we never knew could be displaced, or made to surrender to a ghost whose strength is one that will not yield to either moon or sun." Let's see. And this is not a sonnet. This is Eagle Watching in Winter. And living in the Hudson Valley, watching eagles and hawks in this area is really fun. "There must have been at least a dozen soaring, dancing, while others sat on treetops watching. We were watching, frozen feet and hands, with eyes transfixed by birds whose only purpose was to find a mate. And once the ice, the cold, has eased, fly north to sire downy offspring, who one day would travel south to take their turn in treetops." I don't know if you've ever, we've done this a couple of times. Down at Croton Point, there is a spot where I think it's in February usually now, this is before COVID, so I don't know if they're still doing it. They would set up tents where people would get warm up, they had hot chocolate, and everybody brought the binoculars and the scopes and everything else, because on a good year, you would probably get about 3 or 4 dozen eagles in the trees, and they would do this pairing dance where they were mating. Yeah, it was absolutely beautiful. Okay. All right, 2 more sonnets. How are we doing time-wise? Oh, we're doing good. All right. This is Sonnet for a Day Like Today. And the quote says, "All that we are is the result of what we have thought." Buddha. Today I'm filled with hordes of joy and full of baseless hope that what will come will be no less a joy than what I know, a null point in the universe that lets me see just how it all might be, just how, for now, it all might come together, piece by piece, assembled from the shards wiped from my brow and set against each other. Not a crease revealed except by close inspection, when the countless faults appear as if by chance my thoughts might yield a rule, and if and then to lead me to a truth that at a glance might seem what I was seeking. Thus we know that days like this will come and then will go. And this is Sonnet at That Time of the Year. And the quote is, "Holidays have no pity." Eugenio Montal. So many books, so many things that no one buys, that no one reads, that sit on shelves for weeks on end, till someone comes to stow them into boxes, send them somewhere else to clear the space for Christmas joy, for stuff that sells a whole lot better at this time of year, when syrup music flows, enough to make your stomach feel upset at rhymes and jingles sticking in your brain. It's all that one can do to stay alert and sane, while every sound or sight from every stall keeps pumping, thrusting merry at your brain. Yet peace on earth is something I can see by shutting eyes and ears to all this glee.
Torture, it sounds like.
Well, that's what people, that's what we put up with. Okay. Two more, and as you said, I'll hold the other two for the very end. This is not a poem. These two are not sonnets. These are poems. This one's called Presents. Kitchen clicks announce each second, while the icebox hums a single basso note. Our cat is sleeping somewhere. Birds are silent outside midday. Sun is hovering nearly overhead. Half a day has passed so silently, I barely knew its presence. Like the man behind me in the coffee shop, I sensed his form, could hear him mumble faint rehearsal of his order. Cup in hand, I turned to leave and saw no one was there. This is What Will Remain. Within each word there lies a memory of where you heard it first, from whom and when, that layered thick with other words grows stronger with each pass until the castle's built, the stones well set, with windows opened wide to let the truth go through. But walls of stone, they do not last. By nature's hands they fall as water finds its way, and earth discovers tiny cracks that widen as the seedings go about their way, till only rubble. Even that will be reclaimed by flowers and the bees that come and go. And one more in this set. And of course, it's another sonnet. And this is Sonnet Encounter. Red stars tonight, a glass of wine held by its stem to stay as cool as the room we're in. A naked sky devoid of clouds we spied while driving up the mountain. Heart of tin, you said. You have a heart of tin, a box you place your memories in, but I'm not there. I sigh. I sip the wine. You start to rock. Your glass still full and glowing red. Your hair an amber shroud that hides your face. What could I say that night when constellations mapped the sky? Though sailors watching starlight would have steered their ships away from rocky traps, there were no patterns there to navigate on land, a path laid out by blinded fate. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you so much, William, for sharing your work, and I forgot to introduce your work when I introduced you. So William Joel is the author of Web World, Salt and Air, a collection of poetry. It's a jungle out there, poetry for children, and another children's book the Muse of Monsters. So,
Which are monster poems.
thank you. And thank you for gifting them to the library. So this is part of the open mic part of our evening. So I'll start us off, and then Clayton, and then Gordon. Is that good? And then we're going to come back to William Joel, who will close us out for the evening. So let's see. I wrote a sonnet, which I don't seem to have. Oh, here it is. It's on the other side. This is kind of an ekphrasis poem. There was a portrait of Saint Roch as a pilgrim at the Vassar Museum. So this is a sonnet in response to that painting, and and it was written, of course, during the pandemic. Dear Saint Roch, holy pilgrim, I sit beneath your bleeding leg, exuding patient suffering and holiness. You are struck with the plague. We are stricken too with the scourge of this virus. A nobleman's dog brought you bread, licked your wounds, just as God sent forth ravens with bread and meat to Elijah. Revive, increase our faith, O Lord, to include the belief that you supply all our needs in your creative way. Saint Roch, wound our hearts with love of God, neighbor, and all of God's creatures and creations. As we are all brother and sister pilgrims who labor for heaven, your beatific vision, everlasting elation. Saint Roch, we invoke your protection against all deadly contagions, but we also ask that you eradicate them. So that was to Saint Roch. And then I have, I just kind of like wrote this poem, so I'll just kind of like workshop it and read it out loud. It's called Heartland of Love. And I went to Croatia, I don't know what year was it, in 2013 or 14 or something. So it's called The Heartland of Love. I am in the heartland of earth. This is where the First World War started and continues to rage. 2 fatal shots, 2 dead. Archduke Franz Ferdinand and his beloved wife Sophie, Duchess of Hohenberg. I am in the motherland of earth, Medjugorje, Croatia, where our Blessed Mother is appearing, bearing messages to her children throughout the world. I am in the fatherland of earth. There is an Italian family, mother and father and toddler son in his stroller. We are in a cafe. The couple buy me a beer. It was the best glass of indulgence I ever drank, refreshing, invigorating. I cried, savoring their sweetness. I thanked them. I thank God as a generation of forgiveness eased down my throat. Then I thought of how the men of war could all sit at the bar and enjoy a beer together, savor it together during our short time on earth, to be grateful for everything we have, everything we never had, and everything we once had and lost. And we saw the children in the eyes of men who wage war. We would raise our glasses and salute God's creations in each other, forgive every brother, laying down arms, pride, and egos, opening hearts and arms to the peace and mercy of God above in this beautiful heartland of love.
I think I mentioned the last time I was here that I've been inspired by slam poetry for quite a few years, and I've never put myself in a position to even think I could pull it off or anything, and I still can't. I don't have the moves for it, but I tried to write a piece. The last time we were here, I think I read a piece, and it was. What was it? It was called Slam Dance. It was a relatively short piece. And this piece is kind of a piece that I wrote after I wrote that one, but it's kind of an intro to that. And I'd like to read that, plus there's a new one that I just did today that's even shorter. And this piece is entitled Finding to Keep. Do-wah dip, I feel my body as it starts to strip. Why out there in monumental glee? I have that need to find and devour my thee. Devour has meanings, some of them bad, some are openly just so sad. My meaning this day is one to play. I keep on looking, finding my way. Do-wah diddy, as I trip on by, I want to find her, but not on the sly. Keep on going, I will do, until I find that body beautiful of you. A day goes by with no one as yet, but continue I will do, can definitely bet. Weeks go by, then a month is there, I have found no one with whom to share. Do-wah diddy, what the hell is this? To hell with finding this non-existing bliss. Ongoing with my life I decide to do. Then that moment arrives, and I do find you. All right, that's that one. And this one is the most recent one, and it's called A Fun Start. It's fun having fun in as many ways as we stumbled during that run. Slim, slam, bim, bam, brings this start into one hell of a fart. Loving every moment as the creative gases build up, and then that release of verbal farts developing into that creative start. Where it goes, no one knows, but eventually it ends and hopefully shows. One such fart can lead to a slim slam start of fun and pleasure from the heart. Yay, fart, go start.
This one's called Two Respective Chairs Perched Along a Border. Welcome to the Great White North, welcome. And don't you go and eat any yellow snow, or just maple leaf it for some authentic syrup. Understanding those things to unlearn, the churning process of a culture that was not there by choice, but by circumstance of family, creed, and or country. We all, as Morrison said, don't get out of here alive, but we can choose our friends and what we do and how we do it. What's it all about, Alfie? Who am I? Where am I going? And what's the destination unknown? Man, life is so strange. Do you hear me? Do you care? Better together than alone. So let the good times roll and wait for the sunset and acknowledge, one ego to another, this town ain't big enough in our heads to allow one to suppress the other. My way or the highway, so sundown, downtown, and wait for high noon. It's back to the jailhouse and the marshal, or a shallow grave 6x3. Pendulum swing, seesaw to the extremes. What about a fulcrum, laddie? Some balance and candor to consider that two wholes do not make a one, but acknowledging and understanding that two journeys or different perspectives can shape or paint a different picture, or maybe reveal a forest instead of a singular tree. Okay, this one, it's one of the memories I've had of my father. That's a good one. Before the break. Think. Just leap and look back. Back to the points to place your feet across the jetty rocks, then to the beach. And hear the rancor of the gulls that will lead the way. Seaweed, clear, open space, shores level. Not seals in black wetsuits, surfs up without a board. Wait for it, wait for it. Watch the swell. The undertow is you know what. Watch the foam and see the crest. The wall moves in the pause. No roar of shells or cascading curve. Spidey senses commenced. Truth or dare? I dared much to venture to Superman dive forward, then breached the shells and fragmented coral with sand up my wazoo. Back again to rush the tides. Break this time, I wait to see the whites of your eyes. The waves begin to crash, do or cry, and I leap into, in time to feel turbulence pass, and then the wall crashes. And then I remember your time, the early morning star to greet the day you survived the carnage of war in your youth long ago. No shells of artillery crashing, no mines exploding, just the sunrise to guide you home, and your memory I share, remembering that the salt of the earth is not bitter, but sweet. I remember you, sunrise to sunset. I just have like one short one more. Yeah. This is when I submitted to a science fiction magazine, and I got my first rejection letter back, which was telling me that someone took notice of it. But this is called mind melding. Mind melding to the Star Trek fan of old. All mind can do is warp around the image of Spock in the parallel universe, an evil conquering one where he had a goatee. Kirk, Scotty, Uhura, and Bones had to fake it to make the reasoned attempt to the other Spock. The possibility of change. So all or nothing, Star Trek fans, I appeal to the Federation of Planets that we can have a future together. Ignorance and fear walk hand in hand. Put not the face twisted and grotesque. Humble that our ways may not be best for all, but willing to let it be possible. Mirror, mirror on the universe's wall, can there be an earth that strives and lives in peace for all?
Sonnet of things that pass. A second inches far forward past the one that came before, then takes a breath and sighs, and settles back to rest. Its work is done. Its time so short, it has no time to cry. A leaf regards the tree from which it fell, then drifts along with those that fell before. So much alike, you'd find it hard to tell which one fell last and which fell first for sure. A stream receives each drop of rain that clouds released when squeezed. They mix, commingle, merge into a single flow that races proud, a force that builds and builds into a surge. And you and I are far past young. Those days are lost. We laughed and gave them all away. And one more for the road. And this is just called Sonnet for a Leaf. And the quote says, "The fall of a leaf is a whisper to the living." Russian proverb. I cannot comprehend how one leaf can hold so resolutely to its bough when all its siblings have succumbed to grief and drifted to the frozen earth below. It will no doubt be there till spring returns to warm the sod and seedlings in their nests, till days expand and golden sunlight burns away the remnants of a winter's jest, till thoughts return to idle nonsense, tossing covers clutched to water of dark and chill, and words emerge that sing of hope, not loss. Then, with abandoned dancing, dancing till the light has grown as far as it may go, the time begins to close its yearly show. Thank you.